Hi, Caitlin here. I wanted to share with you today what we do for music education for our own kids and for the music students that we have through our online studio. So I have a background in elementary education and in music, and I've been giving music lessons since I was in high school. Obviously, my teaching style has developed as it should have from that time as I've gotten more experience and more education under my belt. But we use for our students in our studio and for our kids at home, we do the same thing. So we offer piano and violin and guitar, and I personally teach the piano and the violin. And I'm going to just give you a quick glimpse of what I use for piano and what I think you can use for your own kids, and give you just a little information about what is available. So the number one question I get from parents is, how young can I start my kids? And really the answer, you could start your kids as young as probably 2 or 3. The younger your kids are, when they start any music or any endeavor, honestly, the more commitment it is from you as a parent. And as a music educator, we ask, and I ask, that parents be involved anyway, but the younger you are, the more you will need to do at home to make sure that your child is practicing and that they're remembering what was taught in their lesson, all of that. So usually parents will start to get their kids involved in formal music training around kindergarten age. Sometimes a little younger, sometimes 4, sometimes 5. And I think that's a really good age to start. It's an age when kids are really curious about just everything. But they also have more cognitive reasoning abilities. They are able to pay attention for a little bit longer because that is important. And then they also are able to have a little more responsibility. So that means that translates into a little more responsibility and pride in their work when they go home, and they need to practice, and they need to make that commitment to keep practicing every day. So for piano students, I use this curriculum called Alfred Premier Piano Course, and I have used Alfred since I was teaching in high school. This is a newer curriculum that they've put out, and I have switched most of my students over, especially new students that I've acquired in the last 5 years. I've switched them over to this because it focuses a lot more on note reading and gets away from just relying on hand placement, on just kind of memorizing, like my hands go here and this is my hand position. Instead, it focuses more on knowing the names of your notes, knowing the names of your keys, and knowing the names of like the lines and the spaces on the staff. It also develops ear training. This is the lesson book, and there are 3 other supplementary books that I use with this that I don't have on me at the moment. But one of them is a theory book, and theory we often think of like kind of boring copy work, just like remembering, all of these different abstract Italian words. But with this, they make it really fun, and they incorporate an ear training aspect into it. And so for this level, what that means is like me playing something forte, which is loud, and then me playing something piano, which is quiet, and the student telling me what they heard. Like, did I just play this example really loud, or did I just play it quiet? And so it starts very simply, and as they master each skill, we start to add more things, and you might listen for, is the sound stepping up or is the sound stepping down? And then as you get into more advanced levels, like this is the second half of level 2, here you might hear like 6 to 8 notes, and you have to decide, is it example A or is it example B? But by the time you get there, you can do it because you know how to read rhythms, you know your note values, and you have gotten really used to hearing, do notes go up or do notes go down, and that kind of thing. So that's the theory aspect of it. Getting back into the lesson books, these are like the kind of like the textbook of the curriculum. This is where you learn new things. You have a song every week, or a song that goes with every new concept. And so this is kind of the core of what I teach with. And then along with that, like I mentioned, is the theory. Anytime you learn something new, you're going to have a little bit of theory to do. I also have a technique book that is exercises that, again, they're level appropriate, so they get harder as you get into more advanced books, but they also go along with whatever you're learning. So if you're learning about a certain kind of piano pedaling technique, then you're going to have some exercises that help you practice that different pedaling technique, but it's going to be a very short exercise so that you're not overwhelmed by learning notes, and instead you can focus on what the new technique is. And then for students who show interest and who do a good job of practicing, I offer a fourth book called a performance book, and it's kind of like the lesson book, except you're not learning new concepts in it, but you are learning new songs. And so it's a book of just songs that you can perform. And then at least twice a year, I give my students the chance to actually perform some of that music that they have learned. Before the coronavirus came and kind of, upended a lot of our normal practices, we would do an in-person recital with all students, and they would master a song and practice it really well, and then we would hold a recital in front of parents and siblings and family and friends, and kind of create a friendly environment for students just to get out there and get the practice of playing in front of people. This past semester we had to get creative because we switched our studio online in March, so in the middle of the semester. But we still wanted everyone to have the chance to show all of the hard work that they've put in. So we actually did an online pre-recorded video recital where everyone recorded a song, sent it to us, my husband edited the video, and then we had a nice finished product that was not quite the same as an in-person recital, but it was a good substitute. So that's still going to be an option ongoing. So that's piano. I've talked a lot about piano. I also teach violin lessons, and same thing that I was saying about the age of starting. You can start really at any age. Usually when people come to me, their kids are about 4, 5, 6, and they will come to me because their child has probably expressed some interest in learning violin. And with that, I use Suzuki books, which are pretty well-known violin books. I don't teach Suzuki method, which is a little bit different than I want to teach students. There are Suzuki schools that will use the Suzuki books and pair it with Suzuki training. I use Suzuki books, but not Suzuki training. And so with that, we start with Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and we just, we figure things out as we go, and we move on from there. Same with these books. We start very simply, and as you master different techniques, you move up, and you move to the next song, and when you finish a song, you move on to the next book. Violin is a little bit harder than piano, but I have found that kids at that young age, they pick up on stuff so quickly that they are still playing right through their book at the same rate as a piano student is playing through their book. I also want to make sure that theory is an important part of violin lessons, so I have different levels of theory books that I use for different ages. For younger kids, I get books that are a little more colorful and more exciting. I've recently found some cool ones that have stickers that we get to use, and that's always fun to pull out. And then for the adults that are learning, I have a theory book that's actually put out by Alfred as well. And it covers a lot of theory, but we take it at a nice, relaxed pace and make sure that everyone understands, or that each person understands, what's in the first lesson before we jump into the second lesson. So we really try to tailor that theory and the music acquisition to each person's different needs and abilities. So that's just a little bit about how I teach. As I mentioned before, right now everything is online, and so I am in Indiana, but if you're seeing this and you are across the country and you want to take lessons, that's something that is an option for you. So hopefully this has been helpful. Please feel free to share this video and send me a message if you're interested or have any questions. I'm going to post a link to my website as well so that you can check it out and get a little bit more information. Thanks for watching.